think it's important to show you guys what my garden looks like in the winter. So I'm in South Carolina, zone 8. So it doesn't get cold for very long here. But I wanted to just give you an idea of what my garden looks like right now. It is early February. Currently, I am pulling weeds in this area back here. This was the showstopper last season, and I'm just hoping to maintain this area. So if you guys go back and check out my videos, especially the June and July garden tours, you'll see how beautiful this area was. But there are some beautiful things still in this area right now. One of them is this stinking hellebore. And it's kind of cool because to see the blooms, you have to get up under the plant. And then this is a regular hellebore here. And just the veining there is so gorgeous. I have some, what are these called? Snowdrops. Snowdrops coming up soon. And my heuchera. They're basically evergreen here. So they die back a little bit, but they still maintain their color throughout the season. So I'll just walk you back here in the areas, real life, you know what I mean? It is a mess back here by this compost bin. I have a lot of weeds, real thorny weeds back here that I'm constantly having to dig up. And they are starting to bud up, so I need to come back here and really start digging out some of these thorny weeds. But this area, I never show, but I want to show it because I want you guys to see the entire garden. Now, what I'm enjoying are these daffodils that are coming up. And that's pretty. Very pretty. You can see some columbine here as well. That seeded itself. The daffodils are really looking pretty. And these two patches back here, the only way you can really see them is to walk back here and see them. Let's see if we can get a better view here. Oh, that's so pretty. Just gorgeous. So my plan back here, here's that beautiful hydrangea, clearance hydrangea from a couple of seasons ago. And I'm kind of bouncing around, showing you guys some things here. This is a volunteer black-eyed Susan. And like I said, if you go back and look at my June and July tour, you will see some examples of how beautiful those volunteers turn out if I dig them up and keep them happy. But let me backtrack a little bit here. My plan is to make a pathway through this area so that I can walk behind the garden and visitors can walk behind this garden bed, so that it's a two-sided bed instead of just one-sided. I will need to remove this magnolia that's here. I'm waiting for it to bloom. This is, I can't remember the name right now, but this one blooms pretty early, usually early February. And you can see some of the blooms or the buds right here. Look at that. The plan is to make a path all the way through here. And let me walk through here a second. This is a swamp sunflower that I never cut back. So that is going to have to go. So I'll move the path all the way through here. And then it'll come around to the other side of the garden. So that's my plan. There's a lot of craziness back here. I rarely walk back here, but I need to get in control of it while I can. So I really wanted to show you guys that, where you could see The garden isn't spectacular all the time, but I'm sure you guys know that. But let's keep going. Let's see what else is happening in the garden currently. Right here I have some heuchera that I propagated, and I just put them in this spot. And this is my asparagus bed. We'll see how that turns out. This area back here I call juvie. You can see I started edging but didn't finish that. But that's okay. A little bit each day. Now over here, I thought I lost all of my cardoons because the weather dropped really, really low here. But I guess the cardoon was not fazed by it because they are definitely coming back. There's another one there and a few right there. So we'll keep going. Yes, the garden is a mess. That's okay. That is okay. So I want you guys to see what I'm working with, even early in the season. Now over here, what I have is buckets of soil that I dug up from this edge. So I will reuse this soil to do what I call, or what's called berm beds. So I'll use that soil just to mound up some areas in the garden. And then I could easily sheet mulch over those mounds. Now this is an area I'm still not sure about. I want to plant more veggies, but I don't need a lot of veggies. Because if I'm just cooking, for 1 or 2 people, I really don't need a whole lot of space. So I'm debating on what to do with all of this gardening space. It'll come to me. It just hasn't yet. So we'll figure that out. Let's keep walking. You can see the tulips are coming up. Daffodils looking good. This is a hibiscus. It will look like it's dead for a long time, and then growth will start to happen. But I'm really starting to enjoy my garden year long. There was a time where I only came out in this garden when it was warm. So only the spring, summer, and fall months. I avoided coming to the garden in the winter time just because I do not enjoy cold weather. But I'm learning how to get over that and just get out here and be a part of my garden all year long. I have some tulips planted right in front of this rock. You can see some tulips down there. I still need to cut back my sedum and pull some weeds here. And the sedum is still pretty with the seed heads on it. But it's time to cut these back and let the new growth go. But let's get a little higher view of this space. This area is filled with weeds and larkspur, poppies, lots of things grown from seed. There's some asters back there. I planted one aster plant and it loves this area. It is spreading and spreading. There's some Verbena bonariensis that again remained evergreen, basically. It stayed alive all winter long. There's some more of it there. So this is looking pretty good. I'll come out and pull some weeds. What I like to do is when I pull weeds, I like to sprinkle some seeds. So it gives the seeds an opportunity to fall into the soil and do their thing. So that is one thing I enjoy doing, is pulling the weeds and then just sprinkling some annual seeds. show you guys this. I had some hyacinth plants, hyacinth bulbs, just tucked under my deck. They were still growing. I must have tossed them out and they kept growing. So I dug them up a couple of weeks ago and put them in this container. I definitely need to get footage of this island bed before it gets growing, because once it gets growing, you will see nothing. You will see none of this ground. I love this area. It is full of plants that will spread and get really, really tall. There's some bee balm in here that loves this area. Elephant ear, several elephant ears, and canna lilies, just all kinds of really big leaved plants. Now over here, I sprinkled some seeds, larkspur, poppies, but I have a feeling that my neighbor's cat has been in here digging. So that area right there may not have any growth, but I do have some growth here. So not all is lost. Again, let me expose you to the fullness of this garden and what's going on before the show happens in May, June, and July. So I was doing some cleanup over here, but this bed, it's not new, but I'm giving it a little more attention this year. So I put in a few hydrangeas. I believe these are Bobo hydrangeas here and here, although they might be Vanilla Sunday hydrangeas. There is a viburnum there, opening day, double file viburnum right there. And of course a limelight hydrangea here. So it's just really fun to see what the garden is looking like now and how it will continue to change from week to week. I'm going to step back here for a second because I see something pushing out leaves here. This is an elderberry. I haven't pruned it, and I'll go down to the bottom and prune out some of the really skinny branches. But I want this to get really full to give me some privacy in my backyard. So I'm going to let that go and do its thing. So it's exciting to see growth on this already. It's amazing. I have a video of this area being the neglected garden. Well, this is the neglected area. Once again, I don't know. I think what I'm going to do is just not do anything to this area until I actually have a real plan. But this is the north side of my garden, so it doesn't get as much love as the other parts of my garden. There are some hydrangeas back here, some propagations back here. Oh, birds are already nesting over here. But not much going on over here. In the front garden, my front yard, I have a hellebore in bloom. That's gorgeous. And these were given to me by a close friend. So it's always fun to have passed along plants, and it's always fun to share plants with others. These are my limelight hydrangeas in the front garden. I haven't pruned them yet. And this one is also limelight, but it was struggling in another part of my garden, so I moved it late last season. So I don't know that it will really catch up to these others, but it will fill in the space in the middle. So let's walk over to this area, which is my sidewalk garden. This is the garden that I started my gardening adventures with. And It's a lot going on right now in this garden, but this is definitely a cottage garden. All kinds of things pop up. All kinds of cool little things are growing. We have our daffodils that are looking so pretty. I love having daffodils. At first, you know, I had that attitude of daffodils are so plain, but they are so necessary for early spring when you just need to see blooms. But I have a lot of bee balm branches that need to be cut, so I'll cut those back. More daffodils coming up here. But lots of good things here. Give you an idea of what this area looks like. I've been doing some cleanup today, so that's why I have branches and all kinds of things all over the garden. And honestly, when I clean up the garden, these little piles might stay here for a few days, to be honest. Because once I get in the zone, I just focus on the task at hand. Now here's my little frog sitting on the stump. And this stump was actually from a tree in my garden. I had 2 Bradford pear trees cut down back in 2020. It might have been 2019. But I had 2 trees removed, and I saved one of the stumps and kept it here. So that's where my frog Francisco sits. But I'm really excited to see what this garden is going to look like in the next week or two. If I can zoom in here a little bit. Love to see that sedum coming up. New growth on sedum is so cute. We'll take a walk back to the back of the garden again. So this is my side garden. This is the Western Arborvitae Ember Waves that I bought on clearance years ago. And I positioned it right here to give me a little privacy in the backyard. So that's what you see there. Now these are some of my favorite shrubs. The Fire Chief Arborvitae that takes on this beautiful maroon rust color in the wintertime. It is gorgeous. And then it starts to put on its green color as it gets warmer and we get more sunlight. So these are definitely some of my favorite shrubs. Fire Chief Arborvitae. I planted I think this one is also a Bobo hydrangea. We'll see how this does. I just planted it in the fall. So we see how it does in the garden. So we'll take a walk along this side garden so you can see this is my before. Things everywhere, branches everywhere. But I'm just so happy to be out in the garden and not stuck in the house because it's freezing cold. This snowball viburnum, I moved it in the fall and it's putting on leaves. So I'm happy to see that it's okay. This peach tree, actually this is an apricot tree, definitely needs to be pruned. So that is a task that I have to make time for, and I need to do it soon because the weather is going to go up this week. And once it gets a few days of warm weather, it's just going to grow profusely. But yeah, guys, so this is what the garden looks like right now. There are things everywhere, and I'm still brainstorming, but it'll come together. Thanks for watching, guys.